Make sure my mic is on, and there we go. Hello, this is Jay Mitchell here with another Wednesday weather discussion. Hope you're doing well on this Wednesday afternoon. We got a lot to discuss in terms of just current situation and then looking for the weekend. We're looking improved. However, with that said, that comes with a few caveats. So we'll talk about that. In addition to that, we also got to talk about our rainfall progress because we did have a storm that just went through. Some areas picked up some good amounts of rain. Some, We'll talk about it here in a second. But first things first, let's just take the little box here and switch it over. And actually, I will take this full for you. And you can see our current situation in terms of our watches and warnings across the state here. So in the Kelly Green, these are coastal flood advisories for Anne Arundel, Calvert, Charles, and Worcester counties. These will go until 8 a.m. on Friday morning. Goodness. High tides 1.5 to 2 feet above normal for the next few days in terms of our tide. So that could be a real problem on the western shore and also the eastern shore. The dark greens here, the ivy greens. I zoomed it a little bit too far in. Forgive me. But the ivy greens, the darker greens, that would be for St. Mary's, Dorchester, Wycomico, and Somerset counties. Those are coastal flood warnings. Those will go through Friday as well. 5 o'clock Friday for St. Mary's County because of the high tides and the onshore flow with that low still being close by in proximity to the Atlantic coastline, which could cause problems. 3.5 feet, water covers roads, St. George Island, approaching multiple structures, additional jargon there. Tides 1.5 to 2 feet above normal. Next high tide at Piney Point, 1:41 a.m. and 2:06 p.m. So that would have already been happened, assuming this was a bulletin from earlier this morning on the update on it. And high tides. Just watch out for high tides in these areas because it will be problematic. And then 6 a.m. Thursday morning for Dorchester County. And I'm assuming the same for Wycomico and Somerset. And I'll just read the bulletins off here. Widespread flooding of vulnerable areas will result in an elevated threat of property damage. To homes and businesses along the waterfront and shoreline areas. Water will be 1 to 2 feet above ground level in some areas, resulting in significant depth to close numerous roads, threaten homes, businesses. Flooding will extend inland from the waterfront along the tidal rivers and bays, resulting in some closures and flooding of vehicles. So that will be definitely problematic as well. Forgive me here. I seem a little stuffy. I don't know why, but give me a second. There we go. I should sound a little bit better. Forgive me. Um, but yeah, these are things that we will definitely have to worry about in due time. And let's go into Worcester County's advisory here real quick. Flooding, rip currents, all that stuff. Being close to the Atlantic coastline, that can happen. So definitely have to watch out for that. This is all thanks to that low, the remnants of Ophelia, and its counterclockwise circulation. And basically, with that circulation, it is bringing water or pushing water ashore. And that becomes a problem, especially as it pushes up. And where is it going to go? Pushes through and up into the Chesapeake Bay. And then onto the Atlantic coastline as well. And that is where you become concerned about coastal flooding in those areas still, likely through at least the late portions of the week and maybe even into the early weekend for some, depending on when this gets away. And then our one caveat here that could save us is this bad boy. A system of low pressure that's out in the Midwest right now that is had a history of producing some storms that could approach us, and that may help clear all of this out, because we've been dealing with an off and on pattern throughout the weekend and into this week, where we've had rain, where we've had coastal flooding, where we've had all sorts of issues with cloud cover. I know some people don't like cloud cover, so to speak, but that's why it's been so cloudy, because we've had this thing around, along with a strong ridge of high that won't move. And typically high pressure in that situation is our best friend, typically in most situations, I should say, high pressure is our best friend, but it becomes our worst enemy, so to speak, because it's not moving much. It's not doing anything to move anything away. And it's in just enough of a proximity, so to speak, that this high, and I'll draw this in blue and make it, there we go. And forgive me, these are going clockwise. There we go. This high right here, that is just circulating around, and this low are just battling and conflicting, and neither one will budge or go away completely. And that is why we've had all sorts of issues all week. And then we got this to try to clear it out as well, before we have another trend of warmer weather on the way. Because if you look at and I say that because if you look at the next 6 to 10 days on the climatological outlooks, am I saying that right? Climatological outlooks, forgive me. You can see that much of the lower eastern portions of the lower 48 will be above average. Some will be well above average for this time of the year, and a high certainty of being so, across the Great Lakes region, out into the Ohio River Valley, out towards upstate New York, PA, and even on the East Coast, there's still a pretty high probability, I believe this is 70%, yes it is, of being above normal for this time of the year. On the flip side of that, we've dealt with drought all year long, basically, and it's not going to get any better based on this outlook, because we have a fairly high chance of being below normal in terms of our precipitation the next 6 to 10. And that's across much of the eastern lower 48. 8 to 14, still above average. October's looking to be pretty warm, at least in the early goings, according to some of the climatological outlooks that we are seeing. Also, below average precip chances again, but still it's fairly slim, and a lot could still change. And the next month, basically, I know it's a little far out, but that's something we may have to consider as well. Also, one more thing I want to note here, I think it's in the fire section, the drought monitor, because I'm waiting for the latest update tomorrow. It's been bad down in the Gulf Coast. In the Midwest, it's been notable as well, and we're not quite the biggest strangers to this as well, because let me just turn off the flood warnings here for a second. Give me an opportunity to do so, because I know this is going to be a little confusing with all the colors on the screen. You can see those yellows down here across the southern tier of the state, and then up across the Mason-Dixon and into far western. That is your abnormally dry? Yes, abnormally dry range right here that we are under as of the last week's drought monitor. That may change this week because we had some good rainfall in some areas, but I don't know how much, because some areas really missed out on some of the heavier totals. Like, for example, I don't know if Frederick's going to move out of this much. I don't know if Westminster's going to move out of this much. They are in the moderate drought. They've had problems with drought all year long down in West Central Maryland, and it continues to be a challenge for them, and that's not good for crop yields. Harvest time is coming around, and that is going to impact multiple things in terms of the economy. Your prices for groceries may go up because there may be a limited yield locally in some areas, so that's another thing you have to consider. And then down in the southern tip of Washington County, southwestern Frederick County, we got severe drought ongoing, and that goes into Northern Virginia as well. Winchester, Harrisonburg, down the 81 corridor as well. So any farmlands out there, it's been rough out there in West Central Maryland. Those rural areas where we depend on farmers, not doing so well as of this moment, I would be afraid to say. Let me just turn on the warnings again and just show you the current situation as a whole and just review it for you. We had rain. We're waiting on the drought monitor to come in for this upcoming week. That would be coming out tomorrow. We have the low and the high still conflicting. Coastal flooding still going to be an issue, at least through the latter half of the work week. And then we have this low pressure that's going to be coming up in. So let's talk about that real quick, and I'm going to pull this up. And by the way, this is the satellite. Remember all that cloud cover I was talking about? We've been dealing with that all this week. And there's that low, the strong ridge a high. It's not moving a whole lot, and we're getting cloud cover across a good chunk of the Carolina. In fact, most of, if not all, the Carolinas, and a good chunk of the southern portions of the Mid-Atlantic as well. Out in the Ohio Valley, they've been dealing with showers and storms. That's the next system that's coming our way, and I'm just zooming out so you can see the full perspective there as well. I don't know why it keeps taking me out all the way there, but there we go. You can see that there, the remnants of Ophelia. We're actually getting some sunshine for the first time in, I want to say, 3 to 4 days. We had sunshine last Friday. Yeah, about 4 days. We haven't had sunshine in quite some time around here because everything's been so stubborn to change in terms of our weather because of the set ridges of high pressure and low pressure being around. Real quick, let's talk about the rundown as we head throughout the week. This is the GFS, and this is right now, basically heading into tonight. Not much in the way of precipitation. We're going to be dodging two areas of low pressure. However, could we run into some rain late Thursday and into Friday? I mean, far western Maryland, we're picking up on some rain with this low in this front that's going to be coming through. And then we're picking up some with the remnants of Ophelia on the coast. So that may result in some rain as well. And then once we get that past Saturday, we're going to be battling some rain and probably some clouds as well for a good chunk of the day. Late in the day, it starts to pull away with this area of high pressure that starts to settle in. Another area of high pressure, I would say. Not the one that's been hanging over us and been causing all of these problems. But it's going to move in, and it's going to help finally push that low away. You can see into Sunday, we actually get away from this, and we are actually settled in a weather pattern for once. And then once we get past that, I mean, random rain showers popping up on the GFS. Sometimes that does happen, but I think we should be, relatively speaking, pretty good in that regard for most of the upcoming work week after that. And I mean, I'm just clicking upon all of this. This is next Sunday, by the way. This is late next Sunday, not this upcoming Sunday, next Sunday. We may go through the first week of October, if not more, without any substantial rainfall before the next opportunity arises. And yes, it's very early to say, but we gotta watch for that. And is that snow I see? I know it's a little early to say. I think not only just a little early, but probably very early to say. But man, we are getting towards that time of the year, especially up in the higher elevations. And the GFS picks up on another area of rain later on in the month. But that's very long term, and it'll be a little ill-advised to say for sure, to say the least. And then here's the Euro. I'm analyzing this with you for the first time, by the way, so forgive me on that regard. There's Thursday. We may have to deal with some areas of rain into Friday. And then we may just finally get out of this for the weekend. It's looking like Sunday's the better day out of the two, but it might be a little in that department. But once we get past that, we're looking really, really good in terms of our weather pattern for the following work week. So there is that. I'm going to look at total cloud fraction as well. You can see the cloud cover is breaking up, and then we got more cloud cover Friday into Saturday, finally pulling away on Sunday. And we're looking pretty solid before the next round would be coming through, and that would be way down the line. I'm not even going to worry about that too much for now. Neither should you. Let's talk about simulated infrared satellite. You can see that there. And yeah, it's very limited on those types of products as well, but we should get some clearance into Sunday once we get this low on up out of here. Let's talk about rain here, and I'm just going to do this real quick. So I'm going to zoom in here for you. We're going to go up to precipitation. For the month, we've picked up 6.26. Average is 3.81. Do the math, that's 2.45. That deficit's going to be going up a little bit, though, by the time we talk during weather on Friday, because, pardon me, assuming we don't get any rain, what is it, 0.16 and 0.15, 0.31. We'll be at 2.76 below, assuming we don't get any rain by Friday, and we'll probably be at 2.61 when I do the recording on Thursday. So there is that. Our rain deficit's going to be a little bit low. Not even a little bit higher, I should say, compared to our what we should be for the year, but still much lower compared to when we were talking last week, because this right here, we were pushing, I want to say, was it between 4, it was between 4 and 5 inches below normal for the year. Again, it's been kind of a trying to play catch-up process throughout the year in terms of our precipitation. We've been getting rainfall, and then we have been falling off the face of the earth in terms of rain, and then getting rainfall, falling off the face of the earth. It's been step forward and then step back, step forward and then step back all year. So that's been a problem in that department. Let me do this real quick because I'm very interested. Let's do past observed weather. Local. Let's do now data. And we're going to do a few locations here, so forgive me. I'm going to do Almanac for Annapolis. A little bit. And there we go. Year to date, 2405, 33.5 normal. So we're running 9.45 below where we should be in Annapolis, if my math is right. We're still running a big time deficit there. Hagerstown, forgive me, my mic went out. I had to figure that out for a second. But Hagerstown, where are you? Where are you? Precip, 27 normal, 1918 observed. So that would be 7.82 below where we should be for the year, which is still a big deficit compared to where we are in Metro Baltimore BWI. So suffice to say, we need rain, y'all. We need rain. And it's not just us. It's a lot of locations statewide, and we didn't pick up much in some of the western areas as well. Let's talk about some places closer to the Chesapeake Bay. Let's talk about I'm trying to find Maryland locations, but they got a lot of Virginia locations on here as well. No location in Ricerstown. Oh, no, they don't. No, it's not working. Let's talk about Science Center. Let's go downtown. Let's do the official downtown. In downtown, 2568, 3314. That would be 7. 7.54, if I'm not mistaken. 7.54 below where we should be in downtown Baltimore in terms of rain this year. I'm just doing the math on the fly, so forgive me there. Let's do. Yes, Patuxent River. I was looking for that earlier, but I skipped it apparently. Down at the Patuxent Naval Air Station, 2568, 3420. That would be. That would be 8.52 below where we should be. I'm doing the math in my head on a lot of these as well. So, yeah, we're running a big deficit across much of the state still. And I'll show you why here. Let's talk about the calendars in terms of our data and what we got. Got 1.29, 2.19. We got 2.25 inches at the airport through Monday and now through Tuesday. Picked up 2.32. So we picked up 2.32 inches of rain from Saturday to now. And if we even want to count Friday, 2.33. Pretty impressive. However, a lot of places didn't get in on some of the heavier bands here. I'll talk about, I'd say, that's a really good location. Let's talk about OC. Because I know OC didn't get a whole lot in terms of rain compared to Baltimore at least. But they've tried to play catch up over the last few days. 0.31, 0.56, that's 1.87, 1.89, 1.93, 2.11. They've picked up 2.11, so they've closed the gap a little bit. Yesterday, they were a little bit behind, but they've closed the gap a little bit with the almost 0.2 of an inch that they had on Tuesday. Salisbury. Let's do the math here real quick. Whew, they picked up a lot of rain on Saturday. Good. 0.14, 2.83, so that's 3.07. If I'm not mistaken. No, 3.97. What am I doing? 2.97. Forgive me. 2.97 Friday and Saturday. Trace on Sunday. Nothing on Monday. 23 hundredths on Tuesday. So that put them 3.2 flat. That put them at 3.2 inches during this entire stretch. And I'm going to look at Salisbury in a moment in terms of the climate. Let's do. I wonder if St. Mary City has one. St. Inigo's, the Webster North base. They do. All right. So, doing the math, 0.3, 1.35, 1.39. They picked up 1.39 inches of rain. Southern Maryland got spared in that regard, but they did get the pretty good rainfall and also some coastal flooding. They got spared in terms of like really heavy rainfall. They got good rainfall, but the coastal flooding, man, they got hit. Let's do. What do I want to do here? I don't trust Stevensville. Um, Easton. Does Easton measure rain? And give me a second here. Do this real quick. I'm gonna close this because I can feel my computer's kind of lagging here a little bit. But there we are. And Easton. Hang on 1 second, y'all. All right, sorry, y'all. I'm back. Let me see if I can get this.